Good afternoon, everybody. It's Tuesday, February 25th, 2014, and I'm broadcasting live from the SEMrush headquarters, literally just outside of Philadelphia, PA. My name is David Black. Here I am on the screen and my information. I'm the Director of Customer Success here in our North American office, and for those who may not know, Customer Success isn't just a fancy job title to make myself feel better. Customer Success is an initiative that many software as a service companies are adopting. It's extremely cool because it's a very data-driven way of understanding our audience in order to educate them on the technical aspects, or what I'd like to say, the inner workings of our software. It also takes a lot of creativity because every company is a little bit different. So now we're actually getting into the beginning stages of bridging a gap that we've ignored for a long time. And although we never have and probably never will act in the role of the consultant per se, telling users exactly how to apply the data found on SEMrush, we are starting to coach our users by shedding light on the data and offering ideas as to how to interpret it and apply it in order to kind of reinforce that return on investment and that value that any software should provide. So with that being said, the ideas conveyed in this broadcast are strictly my own, and hopefully you guys find some value in it, and make sure you stick around till the end because there's a lot of good stuff going on in here. All right, so again, with that being said, let's get started. Keywords are dead. That seems to be the general consensus, at least. Maybe it's just a thought-provoking, fear-inducing, attention-grabbing headline used for shock value, or maybe there's a tiny bit of truth to it. I say it all depends on your attitude towards the keyword and how it pertains to quote-unquote modern SEO practices. Now, it's still pretty early in 2014, so I feel comfortable talking about the events of last year and the big changes that Google brought about. And I use that term loosely. Were these really changes? In the most literal sense, yes, they were. Algorithms were updated and even reworked completely. The layout of the search engine results page has drastically changed. But to me, it was more of a natural evolving, and that the majority of us really saw coming anyway. And one of those big changes was the Google Hummingbird algorithm. It's the most recent iteration of the Google algorithm, and it's been designed to kind of better deal with conversational queries by focusing on semantics, interpreting the user's query, and providing them with more relevant results. And it's especially complementary to those queries made on mobile devices. So how does it influence today's keyword research and targeting strategies? Well, first, I believe that you shouldn't focus on ranking for one singular keyword anymore. The overall goal of the search engine is to understand the concept of a user's query by taking that input string of text, analyzing it, weighing in factors like their browsing history, location, demographics, and it's going to decipher it for relatable concepts, and it's going to spit out results that may never even contain that specific keyword or phrase that you were attempting to target in the first place. So therefore, you need to alter your attitude toward keyword research. If you try to find that one golden nugget and optimize for it, you may be let down by the results. You'll need to broaden your horizons and think not only like your audience, but also like the search engine. And luckily, there's an easy way to do that and to get into the mind of the search engine, as I like to say, and I'm going to show you that a little bit later in the broadcast. So finally, all this kind of forces you to measure your results differently. I know that's hard to tell a client, but unfortunately, it's the truth. The days of tracking positions for one specific keyword are virtually over. Unless it's an extremely unique keyword, because those are typically still easier to rank for, even post-Hummingbird. However, you have to ask yourself, are those keywords even worth ranking for anyway? And that's why we're here today. I want to show you that adjusting your expectations and your approach to keyword research, how you implement those keywords on site, although that really hasn't changed much, and the process by which you measure your results, you can still believe in the power of keywords. And we'll start with the first bullet point on the previous slide about our expectations, as we see here. Something that still lingers is the notion that we need to rank for this keyword because this keyword is the keyword we're optimizing for, and the #1 ranking for this keyword is going to bring us the traffic that we need to survive and thrive. But staring at SEMrush keyword reports all day has kind of taught me that Google's been ranking websites for tight groups of thematically related keywords for quite some time, even before Hummingbird. I think the announcement of Hummingbird was kind of just that nail in the coffin. So if we look at this image, it's a snippet of a recent keyword report for a landing page on scholastic.com. You'll have to take my word for it that SEMrush has found almost 60 total keywords that this URL is ranking for. And more than 10 of those keywords, as we see here, are responsible for triggering results within the top 3. Now, the piece of content associated with this landing page is titled Fabulous First Day Ideas. Those words are also very nicely implemented in the URL as well. And the tagline is, exciting ways to start the new year and help students get to know you and one another. And a quick scan of these keywords that we see here, like ideas for first day of school ideas, first day activities for teachers, first day of elementary school, and so on and so forth, a quick scan of those keywords reinforces the idea that Google actually understands the concept of the article, right? And we know that because these top performing keywords are very tightly themed. And way down here at the bottom, you see falling like an anvil. We find these lonely little keywords, one in particular being fabulous in first grade. And while this is evidence of Google still using keyword matching to a certain extent in order to understand what the article is about, you'll notice that the result that it produces barely ranks in on the second page. So it's barely even producing any traffic. Now, could it be that because the Google algorithm recognizes the word fabulous is more of a descriptive word and is interchangeable? Maybe. Is it possible that Google once ranked the article higher for the keyword result, but saw low click-through rates? That's also possible. But there's no evidence in SEMrush to suggest it, but it doesn't mean it's not possible too. So we'll never know, but I still think the example we see here illustrates a good point. Let's say, hypothetically, of course, right? We've done some keyword research, and we found that the exact phrase fabulous first day ideas has a nice chunk of traffic for which we want it to optimize for. Now, being scholastic.com, I'd go through the work of optimizing for that keyword phrase, but come time to measure my rankings, I may never see any fruits of my labor because the search engine has already determined that the word fabulous has absolutely no bearing on the overall concept of my article. It doesn't lend itself to the concept of my article at all. And reports like this are what really allow you to get into the mind of the search engine, as I mentioned earlier, because we get to see everything almost from a different vantage point per se. It's a way that we would normally never be able to see, not just because it's our competitor's landing page, but also in the age of not provided. You get to gain the insight before you even start drafting your content or doing whatever it is with these keywords that you're doing. It's kind of a whole different method or a different philosophy of keyword research, which is our second bullet point. So gone are the days of starting with a seed keyword and analyzing row after row of keyword suggestions, trying to figure out user intent and whittling down and then determining the ability to rank kind of based on our own secret sauce data-driven criteria. But now with the help of software, we can analyze the URL or for like a landing page or an entire domain first and essentially let Google tell you how it's going to interpret the overall concept or the concept of a website in general. So they say to write for your audience and not for the search engine, and while that's all well and good, we need to be reasonable. We can actually do both. It's very easy to balance the two, especially when you're already able to make those semantic connections that Google evidently likes to see. And in the same respect, we can also see by analyzing keywords in those lower positions, like you saw on the previous slide, there were keywords like fabulous in first grade and last day of kindergarten activities, which is the opposite of what the concept was about, completely contrary to it. What you're seeing there is evidence of what Google doesn't believe, which keywords Google doesn't believe have the right semantic connections to the concept. So you have to understand that Google's going to rank you for whatever its cold bionic heart desires. So you might as well play along. If you can't beat them, join them. But it's nothing to shake a stick at, right? Because those 12 or 13 keywords we saw on the last slide for Scholastic.com, that report, they have a combined average monthly search volume of almost 500. And those are just the keywords that SEMrush has connected back to the content. So there may very well be more than that we haven't seen. So let's take a look at another quick example of how to determine which connections Google is making semantically. And I'll do this in the same manner I did it, but with a different piece of content. So I'm going to jump out of these slides and move over to the SEMrush software. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with the SEMrush software, just to give you a quick rundown and put it in a nutshell of how we collect our data, what we do is we take a database of the top 106 million keywords worldwide. Now, about 40 million of those keywords are allocated to the Google US database. So we're taking 40 million keywords and we're automatically querying them on a regular basis, sometimes as often as every day, depending on the popularity of that keyword. Then what we're doing is we're recording the first 2 search engine results pages for those keywords and basically parsing it, pulling it apart, looking at organic results, looking at ads results, and we're reverse engineering everything we see in Google. So it's kind of like we're reflecting it, but in a very different way that makes it very easy to analyze. So you type in a domain, you type in a keyword, you type in a URL, and you're going to be able to see the keywords that a domain ranks for or a specific URL. So what I've done here is to give you another example. We're looking at this piece of content right here, this article on TechCrunch, and it says Secret Ink lets you send self-destructing messages over email or SMS right from your inbox. Okay, so there's some words laid out in the title and in the description and in the URL, and we see all that here. So what I'm going to do is just copy that, and I'm going to take that back into SEMrush, paste it right into the search bar, and hit search. And now what I've produced here is a report for this specific URL. As we can see, there's SEMrush is connecting 16 keywords that are producing top 2-page results for this specific URL. And it also gives you stuff like the cost or the value of that organic traffic and how much total traffic is coming from these 16 keywords, sorry. And a quick scan of those keywords, just like we saw before. I'm going to jump to the full report. And a quick scan of those keywords. Now this is sorted by a search volume. So what I'd like to do is actually export this. We have a bunch of export options. You can do Excel, CSV, CSV semicolon, or even PDF, but I'm going to do Excel. Now I'm going to open it up in Excel. Okay, so everybody can see. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to sort this by the position in ascending order. So that's going to show you the keywords that are producing those top results. So you see position here, position 1 and 2, and even sometimes down as 4, but stay in the 1, 2s, and 3s. It's really good to find those really tight thematic keywords. Now, we see self-deleting emails, self-destruct emails, self-destructing emails, send self-destruct emails, self-deleting emails, destroying, destructing, destructive. We see how tightly themed these keywords are. Semantically. And then when we go all the way down to the bottom here, we can also see what keywords Google doesn't like, or really, they are associating those keywords with the result of the URL, but they're in very low positions. Like look at the position 18 down here. That's showing you it barely ranks on the 2nd page. This one's ranking on the 2nd page because it's not adding value to the person who's looking for or typing in keywords like inbox email messages or messages inbox. But there's that evidence of keyword matching again that people sometimes think is not happening anymore, but it still very well is. But the thing is, it's using that keyword matching ultimately to determine what the concept is. And as you can see right there in the URL, email or SMS right from your inbox. So that's why it's connecting those keywords back to it. And at the same time, we're able to use this report, and if we're going to build a piece of content that's very similar to what you find on TechCrunch or about the same topic, then here's your tightly themed keywords that you want to use, which is exactly what we're going to get into now. Let me jump back to my slides. So now that we have our thematically grouped keywords picked out from that spreadsheet, we can start implementing them. This is our third bullet point. Now, I'm not going to harp on this for too long because most of our attendees are of the intermediate level and have at least a general understanding of how to technically implement keywords in regard to on-site optimization. So not to mention, implementation really hasn't changed too much. But for those who are just starting out and are beginner level SEOs, here's a few best practices, especially best practices in the modern world of SEO. So if this isn't something that interests you, go stretch your legs for a little bit, come back, get yourself some coffee. That's not only going to take about 5 or 6 minutes. Our first best practice is implementing your keywords in the page title tag. Right? Look at those keywords that you have, find that penultimate keyword based off of whatever criteria. Maybe you want to, your main keyword is going to be the one with the highest search volume or the lowest competition, something like that. But use that penultimate keyword phrase once in the start of the title as close to the beginning as possible, because what that's going to do is it's going to reinforce relevance to the concept of the landing page, something that Google looks at. Okay? And it can impact on a psychological level the searcher's propensity to actually click on your result, especially because matching keywords are often bolded to grab the searcher's attention visually. Okay, so the next one would be your H1 or your headline tag, which some of you mostly have heard of. Same idea as the page title tag. It's gonna help your visitor know that they've made the right decision by clicking on your result. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to match the title, but I'll get into that more when I wrap up the entire section. Next one is a big one. Body text or content of your web page. And this one's a bit of a no-brainer. We've heard for years and years never to overdo it. Be as natural as possible. Don't overuse a keyword. Have an unbiased third party check out that text that's on your website, and if they think it sounds weird, chances are it probably does sound weird, okay? And that's something that's just been in place for a very long time. Next, we have the URL. Just like our examples from Scholastic and TechCrunch, you've seen how they implement the keywords in the URL for the same reasons as the title and headline tags. It's also good because people tend to copy and paste raw URLs when they're linking to something. So this in turn puts the keywords right in the anchor text of, here's part 2 of our backlinks. Backlinks, and I'm sorry, the keywords that we've picked out are also great for our anchor text because it's how you reinforce relevance to the content on the target page, okay? And also, if you're using multiple keywords, you're also able to kind of evenly distribute those keywords instead of using the same anchor text over and over again, which we know can lead to a penalization in Google. So now you have multiple keywords to kind of use as your anchor text, and it's those semantically connected keywords that are going to help Google recognize and find the relevance. And now there's other areas like image alt text or your internal and external links like your navigation menus. And in fact, in a perfect world, conducting your keyword research even before building your site can be extremely beneficial, even though most of us as people who help out clients really don't have that luxury, but it's just some food for thought moving forward if you do build some websites. Overall, the overall idea, the point is to distribute your group of thematic keywords evenly and naturally. And for a long time, we've had to learn to do this with just one keyword. Now, we actually have the option to choose from a variety of keywords, which in theory should make your job even easier, right? And of course, the theme of the entire presentation here carries over into our final section on measuring our results. Again, you can track your domain in relation to one golden nugget keyword, but why? Take your group of keywords, dump them into a position tracking campaign. We're all familiar with how position tracking software works. And with SEMrush position tracking software, you can track a group of keywords in relation to an entire domain or a specific landing page URL. Just like in Google AdWords account, the structure you choose for your position tracking campaign depends mostly on the goals you're trying to achieve. Now, for example, you may create an entire campaign dedicated to one piece of content if you think there's if you think there are multiple subsets of keywords that it could possibly rank for. Not to mention, if you've ever had experience with any kind of position tracking software, you can easily see the overview stats usually right from that campaign overview screen, instead of going into your report and breaking your entire domain campaign and breaking it down by keyword landing page. And on the other hand, you may actually choose to track keywords in relation to an entire domain for something like e-commerce sites or sites that you're trying to get the rank for an overall theme, like comic books or a local business with a particular service like, I don't know, embroidery machine repair, right? Let's take a look at these campaigns I've created for TechCrunch. We're going to jump back into the SEMrush software. Oops. Okay, and I'm going to go to the Tools section of our navigation menu. As you see here, a lot of people don't know that we offer this. And I'm going to go to Position Tracking. This is going to take me to my Position Tracking Overview screen. Okay, and now, as I mentioned before, I've set one up, as you can see these lower two here. I've set one up for a specific landing page down here, and in order to see how it's ranking for a group of target keywords. And as I mentioned before, we can see those stats right from the overview screen. Okay, so that makes it actually very easy to see how my article is doing for one certain set of keywords, self-destructing email article. And if I open that up, I can actually see those keywords that I've dumped in there, similar to like having an ad group in Google AdWords, right? That's exactly how it looks. And if you think a piece of content can rank for multiple subsets of keywords, then go ahead and do that. This campaign has 11 keywords, but why not have 22 in there, with tags? You can set up tags and stuff to kind of categorize your keywords in here. So as you see, we have our self-destruct keywords. And then if it were something else like SMS inbox or something, some other set of keywords, I could categorize those as well and then apply filters if I wanted to kind of single those out and see how we're ranking in relation to certain keywords, right? Now, we're going to go back to the position tracking overview screen. And let's say, for example, I'm working with a client. Now, here's where you may want to build an entire overview or entire campaign dedicated to that particular domain. And what I can do is look at keywords that are relevant to my site. Now, this is TechCrunch. We know that they're a very article-driven, content-driven website. They could rank for multiple thousands and thousands of keywords. But if I'm looking at something like embroidery machine repair, and I know that there's only a certain set, embroidery machine repair, embroidery machine parts, then, I can break down these subsets of keywords and build little groups using using these tags. And then I can track how I'm doing in the rankings for particular sets of keywords in groups. If this is my client, think of how much happier they're going to be to hear that they've improved their visibility for keywords related to the iPhone or related to commercial embroidery repair, instead of having to say, hey, sorry, your rankings still suck for that one specific keyword you wanted, but keep giving me money because I'm really trying hard. Convince your client before you even start. Convince your client that it's, in this day and age, it's a lot different. It's a much better route to kind of track in relation to groups of keywords, especially when you think about the aggregate search volumes involved, like we saw in the Scholastic.com report. And the fact that it's kind of like a giant game of pinball, isn't it? Once you start ranking for keywords, you can kind of bank off that success and begin targeting related keywords as your domain builds authority. It almost makes it easier. I think it almost makes it easier to measure your results and show that you're making great strides towards something better. Okay, so keywords aren't dead, folks. It's evident. It's in the examples we've seen. It's written all over the walls of SEMrush. The only thing that's dead really is kind of, people's approach and attitude towards the keyword. I don't know how many times I've heard potential users call and say, oh, I'm signing up to SEMrush because I want to see the organic keywords my competitors are optimizing for. When in reality, they're probably not optimizing for a large portion of those keywords. If you absolutely want to see the keywords they've chosen to target, you can do that using something like our AdWords report, because we know that they're bidding on those keywords in order to produce their ads. But with organic, it's a little bit different. So organically speaking, we're showing you exactly how the search engine interprets your competitor's online presence, which to me is actually even more valuable because it's the result of their efforts, no pun intended, right? They're called organic results for a reason. So think about it. It's the same reason why Google just outright shows you groups of keywords in the new keyword planner and encourages you to bid on groups of keywords in the AdWords platform. We can look at the context. We can look at keywords in context like demographics, locations, and search history, but context really means nothing without that initial keyword string. We need it. So try to let go of the idea that it's your job to rank for one specific keyword. Instead, do your absolute best to ethically rank for a concept consisting of multiple keywords. Strive to do it. Naturally implementing focused keyword groups on site is going to help Google make those connections much quicker, because we're very quickly progressing into the age of what I like to call the smart search engine, right? Google's a learning machine. It's learning concepts by connecting related keywords. If you start off by feeding it more of the connected keywords it wants and needs, the easier it's going to formulate a concept. And after factoring in those additional signals like clicks, contextual stuff, bounce rates, sharing habits, search history, it's ultimately understanding the intention of the person on the other side of the screen in order to deliver your content to a hyper-targeted audience, which is what you want, right? But no matter how sophisticated it gets, Google and any other search engine for that matter will always need keywords to get the job done. So that is why I believe that in theory, keywords are not dead. Hopefully this added value to you today. Stop by SEMrush. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about the software or about anything in general. If you just want to chat, my Twitter handle is @theguy@SEMrush, all one word. Find me on Twitter, find me on LinkedIn. And if you like this content, please share it. If you don't like it, well, I guess you need to share that too. But I would prefer that you do like it. So thank you very much again. And come find me and feel free to give us a call if you have any additional questions. Thank you.